Having Joel killed in The Last of Us 2 was a controversial decision by Naughty Dog, which many assured affected the franchise in a negative way. Despite that, it was closely adapted in a rather engaging second episode, which also meant that with Pedro Pascal dead, the rest of the season is going to fall to Bella Ramsey to carry on her shoulders. And so far, it's not looking great. Hi everyone, Nacho, welcome back to the channel, and like I said in my previous video, I was unsure how long I was gonna stick around after they killed Pedro, and all we are left with is Bella's Ellie. And it's safe to say that now, I'm not the only one thinking that. But let's break down episode 3, picking up after the events of the Lodge. Spoilers ahead, obviously. We open with the charred bodies of the infected outside the gates of Jackson and a makeshift morgue when Tommy comes in to clean up his brother's body. One of the topics that sprung in the comments of the last video was of course regarding casting and how closely a gaming adaptation should be to the original. What I'll say is that some changes are good. I've said a couple times that I consider Cyberpunk Edgerun one of the best gaming adaptations I've seen, and they create a whole different story using the world building of the game as the common point for the adaptation. However, that's not possible in The Last of Us because we are adapting a rather linear game. When it comes to that, my basic rule is adapt as close as you can. People make the logic argument that adapting a story one-to-one doesn't make sense, since for that you just play the game. Story-wise, changes like how Abby looks or the infected attacking Jackson are a good shift to the pacing, and in this case add new exciting variables for the actors to play with. The uncertainty of Joel not knowing what's going on in Jackson definitely added to the whole tension of the scene. Casting wise, I get why people don't like Pedro. I don't mind him given that acting wise he's rather good and he's a close approximation to in-game Joel. Pairing him with Gabriel Luna as Tommy makes sense since they're both Latino and have similar features given that they're brothers, which works great. However, I'll raise a hand and say that Nicolas Coster-Waldau and Josh Holloway would have been my dream cast to make them look even more like the game. And I'll touch on Bella in a second. Gabriel Luna as Tommy gives a really good performance. He uncovers Joel's face and you can see the shock, followed by the anger, then the sadness. Brilliant stuff. But did he needed lines for that moment? Like I said, he's a good actor, so on the side of show and not tell, this is a terrible moment of grief, losing a brother like this, so showing that he's sad, that he's angry and that he's distraught, holding on to those feelings was perfect. He looks at him, continues to clean his wounds, and then we cut to the opening. Boom, you set the tone for the entire episode without needing to utter a word. He then adds the "Give Sarah my love," which is a very nice touch since they were the last bit of family he had left. But I would have liked it if he didn't. This of course is nitpick, I'm nitpicking, and I'm gonna do that a lot in this episode. We cut to a makeshift hospital to Ellie hooked up to a tube draining fluid out of her lungs until she wakes up and crashes out from what happened. And look, I'm pausing on this frame on purpose to make my point. I get that some of you might like Bella as Ellie. She is a good actress. Lyanna Mormont in Game of Thrones was brilliant and she was 11 when she did that. Wonderful stuff. However, we go back to the matter of adapting as close as you can. And after looking into the people who auditioned for the role and seeing that Sophia Lillis auditioned, Kelly Spaney, which some fucking idiot commented saying that only her hair looks similar. Whatever, nerd. Go and clean your room. Even Caitlin Denver, who in one behind the scenes photo looks more like Ellie than Bella has ever done in 2 full seasons, and whoever went as far as doing a table read for the role. The fact that all of them lost to this just cause they had to pause casting due to COVID boggles my brain in ways I could have never imagined it, and it keeps getting worse the more I see Bella doing her version of Ellie. This is not good casting. This is not even bad casting. This is what the fuck does she have on the people making this show that make them cast her casting. And I am not alone in this. We cut to the intro cinematics, which now shows one figure out of the cordyceps instead of 2. Whoa! Mind blowing. And let me tell ya, Twitter shields have been absolutely creaming themselves with that one over the last couple days. Fast forward 3 months to the rebuild efforts in Jackson, we get a quick Asian daddy moment. Yeah, you swing that hammer, big boy. You're not gonna like what happens to him later. We cut to sassy Max Sassy Pants over here, fully recovered, getting her finals checks done until it comes to the psych test. And one of the few reasons why we added a shrink to the show is for moments like this.
I don't feel wronged. Man, I wish I could have let him off the hook for whatever it was he was talking about. I guess I'll have to let myself off the hook for that.
Well, you really are doing good.
And once again, I'm gonna say, adapt as close as you can. Sam Jackson worked great as Nick Fury for the most part because Sam J is cool as fuck and he played the character well. Bella just lost the most important person in her life, brutally murdered in front of her eyes, and her clear from the psych check is levels of sarcasm I have never seen Ellie display. I went back and checked the game footage, and yes, Ellie is snarky from time to time, but in an endearing way. But this little boy is infuriating, and her transition after that is 4 frames from her smiling to serious to low-light serious to more serious. Give her an Emmy already. For what?
They're the same face! Doesn't anyone notice this? I feel like I'm taking crazy pills!
It's the same expression, it's the same expression. She went from slightly smiling to blank stare. Is she angry? Is she indifferent? Is she hurt? Is she stuck into a chasm of grief that prevents any emotion from being shown? I don't know. I just see the same puffy face progressively getting darker. Anyways, we cut to their house. I swear to fucking God. Ellie has a moment with Joel's stuff when Dina knocks on the door with the revelation that she knew who the people responsible were and that she kept that information from her so she wouldn't crash out. Now, this sequence is not poorly acted. Like I said, Bella is not a bad actress. She's been in the business for half her life almost. She just is not the right fit for Ellie, and further reasons for it are coming up. She goes to Tommy and proposes the idea of going after Abby and her gang. He advises to put it up to vote. And what I like about this scene is that someone finally shut Bella up after she again persisted in having her ways. When he says,
all that time and time again, and don't talk to me like I didn't know him. He was my brother.
"Fuck yeah, Tommy." A simple line, but delivered with enough backswing that I found it very satisfying. We get a quick section with one of the other factions in the game called the Seraphites, which will be important later. In the town meeting, people debate whether or not they are pro sending a kill party or not. While some people argue for forgiveness and that mercy towards those who don't deserve it is the point of mercy, foreshadowing, Seth, the guy who called Ellie a dyke at the party, interrupts them and very passionately defends the cause of going after the wolves. This is of course a redemption arc for a homophobic character that is not in the game, a little on the nose, but sure. Ellie then pleads her case, which she wrote down in order not to run her mouth, but gets rejected nonetheless by the council. Now in the game, Ellie, more matured and seasoned as a fighter with the help of Joel, leaves regardless of anyone's opinion, and everyone who knows her, Marie included, knows that she was gonna do that. So it's weird that in the show, they add all these layers to basically arrive at the same conclusion, which is going after Abby. If anything, the show should try to be more efficient with its time than the game. We got to Ellie prepping her gear when Dina shows up unexpectedly. And when I say that the more I see Bella, the less I see Ellie, that's magnified by the writing and the acting choices they take. Dina has to show up to tell Ellie to pack a medkit and then ask her how she plans to get to Seattle, to which she replies, oblivious to her own plan with, "I'll just head northwest." I get that they're adapting a game, and that healing and navigation are often led to the hands of the player or done in cutscenes. But Ellie is not a fucking idiot. She spent years traveling with Joel, who told her how to survive. You'd think that she'd at least be able to read a goddamn map. What this looks like is them painting her as a male-ish character who likes to fight, be strong and going guns blazing, and Dina as her female counterpart. But that's not Dina nor Ellie. Is she hot-headed? Yes. Is she stubborn? Sometimes. Is she a fucking idiot who doesn't know how to pack a bandage or read a map? No. And nothing that this little homunculus does is going to make me believe that. They sneak out. Seth sets them up with some extra supplies and opens the gate for them. Ellie is still a cunt to him. Great way to try to make me like the character. And they make their way to Seattle. Before they leave, they stop at Joel's grave, which was a nicely shot scene. Ellie drops some coffee beans, which was a nice touch, so a lovely little scene for this shit episode. Another great thing I've always complimented of this show is their great use of landscapes, and I see that they still take advantage of the scenery, and the background music goes hard as fuck. Ellie and Dina get caught by some rain and they set up a tent. This is to mimic the weed smoking scene that didn't happen, and what I like about this is that this scene stoked a fire in lesbian Twitter saying that they got it all wrong and Dina's character would not act like this. As a male lesbian, I'm not fully inducted in the topic, so I'll just read what they said. They're clearly doing a sexuality discovery plot with her. What bothers me is that they're playing into the bi-cheater stereotypes, having her back with Jesse only to cheat with Ellie, like, what is the need? Agreed, I'd be fine with sexuality discovery, but the scripts is just bad. She'd never say that. They also don't have enough time, 4 episodes with one of them being majority Joel's flashback content, to make this an authentic arc for her. The source material for this was there, and perfect as it was, they had no reason to ignore it. This kind of touches on what I said earlier of making changes for the better, but I'll leave this one with you to comment down below what you think about it. The next morning they run into the group of Seraphites from earlier, all showed up and left on the side of the road, which sickens Dina and makes Ellie stare blankly at them. Roll the Emmys. The camera is on her for 20 seconds and she expresses nothing. She lowers her gun a bit. And that's it. 20 seconds of bugger all. Back to Dina, they talk about how brutal the wolves are. This works to paint them effectively as the enemy. I mean, they kill kids. How much more evil than that can you get, right? They arrive at Seattle, and this wouldn't be The Last of Us on HBO without them trying to gas out Bella.
Guess there aren't that many wolves.
There's about to be a whole lot less.
Kurt is a viper.
What? No, that was just me. I was trying to sound like a badass.
You don't need to try.
She does. He really does. We cut to Manny, one of Abby's posse, offering watch for the WLF ground troops, and we get a shot of the sheer number and gear they have. All of which, we are led to believe, will account to very little against this.
Hi, how are you?
And that was the first solo carry episode by Bella. Now I've been watching the gameplay in unison to the show, and I might just bite the bullet and buy the damn game, cause I'm getting spoiled in parts of the story I didn't know about. Comment down below if you'd like to see me play that game on stream. Quick correction, apparently there is already a season 3 greenlit, which will touch on Abby's side of the story, which is a weird choice. I mean, I like Caitlin Denver, but I don't see people watching the show without Joel and without Ellie, but I'll guess we'll see. Not a great start for Bella's solo journey, but like I said, to me, she's not a good Ellie, and I would love to know what the fuck did Craig Massin saw on her. But if you watched this video, you really like, subscribe if you really enjoyed it. I'm probably just gonna review the whole season at this point, so make sure you follow so you don't miss any uploads. Check out this video next for the review of the first 2 episodes. As always, I've been Nacho, hoping you enjoyed the video. I'll see you in the next one. Take care.